So this is my PlayStation 1 I've had for just over 10 years, and, well, I thought I'd make a video on it. Word, this is Pomerak Child. Now, essentially, when you think of home gaming consoles, you think of modern day versions of, forms of entertainment. So, PS5, Xbox One or S or whatever it's called now. Probably the Nintendo Switch as well. But before that, definitely when I was a kid, it was all about Xbox, PlayStation 2, and I was just old enough to remember when the PlayStation 1 was in full swing. Now, this is the slim version of the Sony PlayStation, affluently named the PS1. The PlayStation was a big, bulkier unit, and this is you can think of this as the slim, because the PS3 and the PS2 does exactly the same thing. They have an original fat model, and then they downsize it into a slim model. This is the slim model. The difference of this one, it is connected to an official Sony PlayStation LCD screen. And you've got the screws that connect the screen to the console with an AV multi-out, headphones, AV in, which I've never used, and a power source. So, I mean, I think I played this on the train once because it had a connection to it. So you can take this anywhere with you. This is meant to be a handheld, not handheld, but tabletop transportable console. There are other accessories you can get with this, so you can get a car charger with this as well, so you can plug it in the plug socket if your kid was bothering you and you just want to focus on the road. So instead of having, your kid just going, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" you had the Crash Bandicoot theme for about 5 hours, so that was really good. So this screen itself has got two speakers, stereo speakers, I believe. You've got a volume function and a brightness control as well. This is an official Sony screen because it's got Sony and the PS1 at the top. I did a very stupid thing about a few years ago. I decided I'd be cool and I put a sticker on it. Now, fortunately, most of the sticker has come off. However, you've got a small bit of the residue that was left because the sticker that I put on was quite an old one on the paper, and it was one of those glossy film ones, and my God, I wish I'd never done that. I've been ashamed of that ever since. But what you normally have with this console is standard, so you've got the two memory card ports, you've got the two controller ports, and the power button and eject to insert your disc. Now, in theory, you probably could hook this to a PS2 because it uses the same connection. However, I would not do that because I'm guessing the voltage might be a little bit different. The power source is going to be different for sure. I don't know if a PS2 connects to this one. I think some of the slim ones do. But it might just be a bit smaller. I wouldn't recommend it though. But yeah, that's the PS1 Slim itself. I had this for a while. I am very sad to have to sell this one now. As you can see with the videos I've done recently, I have moved into a new house. So I'm downsizing. It's quite a small house. And considering I've already got a PS2 and a PS3, fat one that can play PS1, 2 and 3 games, this, I think, has to be sacrificed. And to be fair, I don't use it that much anyway because I get very meticulous about damaging the LCD screen if I push it a bit too far back and forward and everything else. So I really don't want to cause any damages because nobody makes these things anymore. You've got to buy a replacement screen, and that in itself can cost more than the PS1 itself. So I'm trying to mitigate that. I mean, it's still fairly good, Nick. There are a little bit of some yellowing here and there, and what you've seen on the back screen already, that abomination. But first things first, let's boot this up and see what happens. Now, I'm back. I had to stop filming and had to relocate the console because Virgin Media came round, and now I have Wi-Fi in my house, which is fantastic. But the plug socket, the nearest one, was there, so the PlayStation's plugged in there, and I've just had to put it on the stairs for now. But essentially, this is the console in its full glory when it's opened up. You've got the brightness function, you've got a volume control there as well. One thing I forgot to mention is because it's a PAL console, it will only play PAL games. Now, the screen, it's an official Sony one. I don't know if it's good enough to adapt. I'm guessing not, because if you attempt to play imported Japanese or North American NTSC games, the screen has a bit of a funny moment. It does something like this. Which tells me that it's a European-made screen, or the screen's not good enough to adapt to different hertz ratings. So what I've done is I'm going to play a little bit of the greatest game of all time, the Australian version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Let's check it out. It catches there, so you've got to loosen it. Of course, you can change the brightness too. That's on max at the minute. I love it how it's an Australian game, but it still insists that you're in Sony Computer Entertainment Europe. It's great. I believe it's on max volume as well. It remembers. Oh, not quite. I'll put it on max. From where I'm sitting, the quality is very good. I'm not quite sure about the camera angle, but all the quality of it. I've got a Google Pixel 7a out of interest if you want to look up the megapixelage. But for an early 2000s unit, it's pretty good. And considering if you watch my channel really back in the days, you'll notice I used to do my old videos on this. The quality of the video is quite nice. I'm bored of this now. So it's got all of the features of it as well. So you've got the memory card function, you've got the controller ports as well. Everything works fine. You could plug it into a television, and even when you try and play imported games on that via the swap trick or PS Exchange, you can boot this up and you can try and play imported games on there. When you try and do that by connecting the back of this to the television, it still has that funny thing that I showed you earlier on. If you take the screen off and you try and do it that way, you might find it better as well, but because it's a 50Hz console, you might have that same issue depending on what TV you have. If you've got a adaptable, fancy HD smart television, whatever, then chances are you're going to be fine. But if you want to play imported stuff, you're better off, in my opinion, just having it on a standard console. Don't bother with this screen malarkey. You're better off having just a standard console, either chipping it, modding it, using PS Exchange, swap trick, however, and just playing it on a standard television, because you can do it then. Save wasting your time with this unit as well. I've had it since Christmas 2011, thank you Mum, and it's just a shame I got rid of it, but because I got a PS3 and a PS2 with FreeMcBoot installed onto it, a very good antiquated collector's piece that has gone up in value as well, so that's brilliant news. So yeah, that is the Sony PlayStation PS1 Slim model, made about 2001, I want to say. A little bit of scuff marks, a little bit of yellow in here and there. The abomination on the lid of it, of course, which I regret. But yeah, that is the product in itself. It's a shame I'm getting rid of it, but it's a relic that should be marked not just in history, but by an entry on the Pomerac Child YouTube channel as well. If you like what you saw, please like, leave a comment, subscribe, get some engagement going, get some conversation going. If anything I've said is wrong, feel free to correct me on this. See ya.